So now I've just created this new draft. Of course, how fast is our internet connection here?
So when it embeds the document, what does it store it as a file? What file format does it store it as?
Same format that it's in.
Whatever it is,
It's
it's
just
just
relying on whatever software. So if you have Word, it's relying on Word to open up Word.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah.
it's not.
So it stores it on your SQL server?
SQL Server. If you have a full SQL Server license, you have no problem. But what comes with QPulse is SQL Express, and there is a physical limitation to how big that data set can get.
But
So-
you don't, so when you store it on the other way, then you have the option not to put it on the SQL server.
That's correct. You're storing a link to it as opposed to.
SQL site licenses, they're exorbitantly expensive.
Up till the point where we were acquired, we were doing this. Raytheon has no problem with SQL Server licenses.
So do you archive your QPulse data at all?
Yes, we do.
So how do you deal with it? If you've got the attachment in the SQL Server to the folders, how do you maintain those links? Does it pick that up? Or
Yeah.
if you will?
Uh-huh. So now I have a draft here, and I've looked it over, and I could just put in a change of information here. I just say more detail, and of course I'm being very lean on this stuff. Usually we're very detailed about it. I can pick a date to remind me of when I'd like to implement this. Had I picked next week, it would start to nag me via emails that, hey, you have a document sitting there in draft, it's waiting to be released. Then I can turn around also here and just show you, well, let me release this so it'll make more sense. Yeah. So now I'm going to send it to Joe for approval. So save it. Now I've just submitted it. And I could have put a comment in there. So now Joe just turned yellow there. That means that I have just sent him a notice. Hopefully you can get on and find it and approve it. And so what I'm trying to show you here is how you can track revisions, keep all the documentation, all the information you need for how you revise documents and release documents out to the company. And I will show you here that once he approves it, there's a next stage where I can actually send it out to a distribution list, and then they have to acknowledge that they've received it. Can you get in? If you can't, I'll approve for you.
Yeah, I better, I lost internet.
Okay, so I'm going to assume I'm in as Joe, and I would go down here and I would add an approval response, and he's accepted it. And so it turns green, and so I'll get an acknowledgement that he's okay with me releasing it. So now I'm going to turn around and say I'm going to activate my document. I get a wizard. It tells me what's going on. The previous version will be obsoleted but available. It shows me that I have implemented Don's request for more detail. And now for a distribution list, I have added everybody's name that's here. So now I can turn around and just go pick whoever that you all are. I can pick you all and put you on the distribution list, and if I click this, you would all get emails if I had it. And boom, we're done. You all get a notice. There's a new revision to the instruction. Had you received that, you'd now be going to QPulse, and you would have turned around and you would brought up QPulse. QPulse would say, hey, look, I have a brand new revision for you to see. It's Rev 2. So when you open it, now when you look at the distribution list, you'll see all your names are here. All you have to do is go in here, and basically, if I had distributed it to you, you'd be told to acknowledge it. And it would acknowledge the date and time that you physically seen the record. I mean, we can't guarantee that you read it and understand it, but at least we're aware you were there.
Yeah, it's just another way of maybe doing your training, and the big person could say, well, I never saw that. Well, you acknowledged it, so
And
you
then,
can use that as your way of doing training.
so now we're on revision 2, and you can see where the change requests have all happened in the past on this. What, if there was any review done, we set ours up annually to review, regardless if they've been changed or not. The document owner has to say, yes, it's still in play, yes, it's still a viable instruction or procedure. And then here's our revision history. So you can see here was revision 1, it's been obsoleted. It is still available. I can double click and actually go to all the information on it and open that particular document if I choose to. Yes, sir?
Are the obsolete versions then watermarked automatically or something like that?
No. Now, the way we've chosen to do it is we allow them to see the record, but I have physically put security where they cannot open that attachment,
The obsolete.
the obsolete. So they can still see what the obsoleted had for change detail. Had this been revision GF, whatever, they could see the progression of changes, but they can't pull up the document and actually make a physical copy. So, and then at the very bottom, you can also see, well, darn it, who approved this thing? If it's in play, I want to know who approved it. It will show up. And it could be as many layers of approvals as you need in your company. And then down here, this is basically a catch-all. You can relate it to other documents. So if somebody wants to know, well, where did this instruction come from? It came from a policy. You can do all this layering here. I don't have anything in here. If you want to add a standard, if you're meeting ISO standard, you can go in here and say, this was part of documents requirements. So now it's attached. So now if I come back and run a report, I can see all the procedures, instructions that I have that apply to that area of the ISO standard. And so a lot of things that can catch in there. So now we have this brand new procedure, and you all are the 3 shifts again. And now you're going to turn around and open this, and you're going to try to build it again.
One other thing I want to mention about the approvals, if you have multiple approvers, you can establish a workflow where you can either have them all approved in parallel, or you can say, well, I want this person to approve first, and then once they approve, then it'll go to the next person, so you can set all that up.
Now, because everybody's going to be on a different page of this, what is it, 12 pages? I don't know how many pages.
No, it's not that long.
I can't show them all on the screen. You printed them out, didn't you?
No, I didn't.
You didn't?
Just flip through them a couple times, and I think they'll.
Let's see, can I get 3? That's getting kind of small. How far down? Oh, that's it. Okay, good.
that should-
Okay.
Now see if you can solve the problem.
See if you can build it now.
So Bob's moving on. I just have a question.
Okay.
We're gonna delegate. So, I noticed the other day I had updated the document and then I clicked the button that said automatically send. But the email that went out didn't ask me to acknowledge, so I had to go back in and say distribute it to the list.
Right.
So you ended up getting like multiple emails.
Right.
Did you see on there where it said activate? So the checkbox is
Yeah, so-
automatic distribute? I absolutely use that.
Well, I did that, and then they showed me the emails and it didn't say at the bottom that they needed to.
You know you can customize the messages.
You have to customize the message.
Go in there and you can customize what it says.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
One on each end. Yeah, see, there's like 2 sets,
Yes.
4 on each end, yeah, so.
Don, you can help this group. We'll actually help them.
Yeah.
They're on the right track.
Alternate? Oh, alternate.
Yeah. You can do it by yourself, but it's a little harder.
Okay. You plan on.
Okay. We have a winner. We shouldn't call it a winner. This table's figured it out and done it. So, assuming I'm looking at production now, and I notice this shift over here is doing them, and just cranking them out. But I notice that the other shifts aren't doing very well. They might get 1 out of. So, I heard it. Keyword. So now. So now what I'm going to do is I say, hey, you know what? I think it's time that we go out and we do an audit.